First the data, then the political bullshit message, because I saw a quote and I like it, so I'm just using it. Max range, period, versus max range damage versus max range lethality for various projectiles. Pellet gun, 17 caliber, 50 yards lethal, 75 max wounded, maybe lethal. Definitely 100 feet lethality, depending on placement. This is based on a person who got a lot of flack and got accused of being a libtard because he showed that a pellet gun can actually kill somebody. Doesn't matter that there are cases where people were shot with a pellet gun, including just being shot in the chest. And not through the eye socket or the ear canal or through the mouth, literally killed with a pellet gun at a fairly good range, longer than you would use for self-defense for a pistol. So, no, they're not non-lethal items. 30 caliber, deer and hog hunting, FX air gun, 75 yards easy. And yeah, if you take a 17 caliber pellet or 22 with an empty back end on it, a little skirt, and fill it with Vaseline and have it go supersonic, you can use really low power setting on the air rifle, get more shots, and fire. And the pellets will come out faster, because at that point it's a propellant-based gun. It's illegal. It is legally considered a firearm, not a pellet gun. Next, 25 ACP, an actual bullet that comes out of a pistol. Max range is about 10 yards. That's out of a real gun. Reliable lethality rate. 10 yards is a little bit too much. That's 30 feet. Still within range. If you are, however, wanting to warning shot a person, make a go away or fuck off round, I'm in favor of shotguns because, well, you'll hear in a minute. 22 caliber short, that's the little dinky bullet. You can pack a shit ton of them into a little 22 caliber rifle. If you get a rifle that can tolerate 22 caliber short, long, and maybe even magnum all at once, there's one gun I know that'll do that. It can go out to 50 yards and be lethal. And the 22 long rifle can be lethal at 400 yards or more. But the accuracy of shooting means that you're pushing the limit where you can't really aim accurately, meaning instead of hitting what you want, you'll kill what you didn't want to hit. So suddenly the 25 ACP shouldn't be underestimated, because if you have something within 30 feet of you, you'll probably kill it, and you'll probably hit it accurately. That's 25 ACP. It's garbage. And 22 short is further range, and even cheaper in some cases. Sometimes it's more expensive. A long rifle is crazy dangerous at distance. These things can injure and potentially kill, still kill rating, at a mile in some cases. But the max range is really around 500 yards. That's the actual max known range for somebody to be able to hit something human-sized and take them out. Yes, there is a case of somebody using a 22 long rifle and taking out a deer, but it was shot placement, and it didn't die immediately. Wax slugs made from bird shot, 100 yards. Period, full stop. That's 12 gauge. I'm not doing 410. 410 actually has a different ranging, depending on if it's real slug, improvised slug, waxed slug, buckshot, because the buckshot's almost the same size as the slug at this point, etc. I'm not going to even go into that because the 410 is weird, because it's essentially excruciatingly tight bore. It's 410 bore standard. An overbore shotgun is double that almost. It's 81 caliber. That's if you do a literal pipe gun. Buckshot through a 12 gauge, not 100 yards like a wax slug. 200 yards, no penetration. 5-foot drop, 15-foot spread. Buckshot is not as effective as a wax slug, made out of bird shot for long range. Lethal, 4-foot spread at 50 yards. Potentially lethal, probable lethal, 6-foot spread at 100 yards. But it's a 6-foot spread. That means if you're trying to hit something and you have a really bad opportunity for hitting, but you can hit basically a 6-foot target, kinda, you'll probably hit somebody. And that's double-aught buckshot. That's basically a bunch of 38 caliber bullets. Very lethal, 4-foot spread at 50 yards, 150 feet. Not a wax slug, but a cut shell 100-yard human lethal distance, easy. The waxed birdshot, same sort of behavior, but not as capable of maybe holding mass and penetrating. Much more of a glazier round. Slugs, 400 yards without damage. Actual Foster slug, the bigger ones that are depicted in in a particular movie with Keanu Reeves in it, where you can make them out of anything you want to, but they're not going to work more than 400 feet. Remember, 400 feet is 1,200 feet. 400 yards, excuse me. 300 yards, lethal. But you get a 4 to 9 foot drop depending on what gun you're using, etc. But they're definitely lethal, and they don't have a spread. Well, they kind of do. They have a spread about a foot. It's the grouping. That's 200 yards lethality, easy lethality, with a 1 to 3 foot drop, meaning it doesn't matter about the drop anymore. So at 200 yards with a real slug instead of one you improvised, you get almost double the distance. Birdshot, 18-inch barrel, cylinder bore, 3 foot human lethality range, guaranteed. 40 feet, 3 foot spread, probable non-lethality. And again, this is birdshot. If you cut the shell or make a wax slug, you can improvise the cut shell quickly. It is definitively lethal at house range. 26-inch barrel full choke, 40 foot, 1 foot spread. 40 to 1 ratio, 26-inch barrel instead of an 8-inch. At 40 foot, it was 3 times as big. And at 50 yards, it'll kill a bird. I'm looking this up from various sources. They're all listed below. What about a cylinder bore rifled barrel? Well, it spreads it out more. 10 feet, it's a foot across, and at 20 feet, it's 3 foot across. And again, if you now have a rifled barrel, and it's open enough that it'll tolerate the end of the shell, a cut shell, you have 200 yards for a cut shell without really hitting anything. But what if it's rifled? It's human lethal at 100 yards. So you could buy the same ammunition. And this is the takeaway. Birdshot versus number 4 buckshot. Number 4 buckshot is considered one of the more effective rounds because it has that odd sweet spot on average if you're going to use a shotgun to shoot someone. And it has the behavior of shot. Birdshot is by definition not considered really a lethal round. And at 40 foot, it has a 3 foot spread, which means easily, no matter what kind of barrel you have, it will definitively, unless it's a rifle barrel, it will definitively hit the target and not ancillary or casual or collateral damage, most likely. Won't penetrate a wall, most likely. Will damage a person. And if they get closer, they increase the lethality by them attacking you. This is a go the fuck away and leave me alone round if you fire just birdshot out of a 12 gauge. Barrel length isn't really relevant. That's 18-inch barrel. I would use a longer barrel because I would want to be able to shoot cut shells or slugs or overbore items and make it out of a hunk of pipe. That's my preference. But I've also learned that you would be better off buying an actual break action 12 gauge that folds straight in half. There are a dozen of them. They'll go for $80. And getting the barrel pulled and then get another piece of pipe that's a different set. Just make your own barrel and get it threaded to fit into it, or you can take it out and put it back in and use that and put a long barrel on it that's slug barrel. And you don't have to rifle it if you don't want to. And the longer the barrel, the smaller the pattern. The closer an attacker would get, the more likely they would be to getting within lethality level. And it would hurt more, and there would be more pellet impacts. And you wouldn't have to aim for shit. Just get it on them almost. And if you happen to have a shorter barrel, it would create a wider spread to make it more likely that they'd want to leave. And the spread's the same even if you use buckshot. You could use deliberately low speed, high pellet count buckshot. High likelihood of impacting the attacker if you have to deal with one. Okay? So, this is one of the reasons I focus on shotguns. You can build them. You can buy them cheap. I'd buy one. Drop of a hat. Get it to go through a federal firearms licensed gun shop or a gun maker. Find a shop in the area. Buy one from Walmart. Doesn't matter. Don't alter it in any fucking way. Make sure it's a single shot, preferably because of the easy use to learn on, but get a double barrel if you want to be able to defend yourself, because you need a second shot. Buying a pump action, you can make one. I'm at the point where I would make one, but I'd rather just have one break barrel, double barrel shotgun. Over and under is not required. It's slightly more complicated, not relevant if you're doing home safety and don't want to hurt anybody except an intended target. Reinforce your walls to where a bullet will go through, but buckshot won't. It's not that complicated. It's a cloth covering. You cloth cover your house with fiberglass. That's actually how you do it. Both sides of it, and that'll slow it down or stop it. Yeah, you can do that. Along with all the other tricks I know to do to a wall to make it reinforced against damage, attack, and intrusion. But birdshot, grade birdshot, can be improvised into a slug that will absolutely do a lot of damage. You can do a perforation rather than a knife cut. The perforation device can be attached to the gun, mounted in the gun stock. The hole where the stock mounts to the gun, you could have the pad pull off with a plug on it that's the same shape and size as the shotgun shell, put it in, and have a crimp that perforates the edge to where it pops loose. This makes it where you have not an improvised slug, but a customized slug made out of cheap birdshot. But then again, you can just buy cheap slugs. So you could put in one banger round, which would just be the birdshot, and then you could put a slug right after it. Wouldn't have to make any cut shells, don't have to spend time doing it. And again, $88 for 12 gauge. 2 boxes of this stuff you'll never ever use. Train with them if you want to. You probably won't need to. And if you want to, you can get a street legal off-the-shelf 18-inch barrel one, which will have a lot more spread. More than you want. But again, as an attacker would approach you, they would be more in danger, not less. And you just need a second follow-up shot. Treat it like a stopper gun, like a stopping rifle for a beast. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm not going to be covering gun manufacture and design or anything like that. I found 5 companies that sell basically shotgun barrels that are ready-made to be threaded or not threaded and put into any design you want. Put them in a previous video. We're done. I found companies that do it. They call it a specific type. Drawn over mandrel seamless chrome moly 4130 steel tubing. You type that in. I think those are the words. You'll find the correction at each company. They'll slightly differently list it. And it'll say 0.810 exactly inner diameter. Type out inner diameter. And you find them. And those literally are shotgun barrels. They're just slug gun barrels that you can't rifle. You would never do anything else with them. They're for throwing basically Foster slugs or obviously these other things. But I want to point out, no matter what the firearm is, at close range, everybody's an expert. And at close range, even a pellet gun could kill somebody. And at far range, none of this shit works unless you get out a full-on rifle. And if something's far enough away from you that you need a serious weapon, it is not really a threat if you can just duck behind a tree and run away. Unless you're in war, you don't need range. Yeah, I'm sounding like a libtard here. But you may not need one. However, if you're hunting, you want a long fucking range. You want the ability to stop the animal. You want it to die immediately. You want a clean shot, a clean kill. You don't want to be chasing some animal and having it suffer. You're trying to collect a deer to feed yourself. It's like when I'm fishing. I catch them in a way that they'll survive, put them in a pool that I lock off so they can't get away, and I keep the one that I want, the one, not more than one, and put the rest back. I don't need more than one to make a full meal. And I fish without any gear except for a hook and a line. I literally just hook and line it. The minimum I need that will reliably provide me what I need without any real effort involved except me sitting there, sipping a cup of coffee and waiting for my fish to show up with a fry pan ready to go and some, briquettes. Both the Gun Control Act of 1968 and the Brady Bill later on were the only gun control legislations that the federal government have ever really undertaken, along with other attempts by various states. They were written by and pushed through by Republicans primarily. Nixon in the first place, and Ronald Reagan in the second, George Bush as well. You're fighting to stay out of the way. Know what you're fighting, or stay out of the way and let the others do it for you. Don't let the people who restrict your rights and have a history of it lie to you about who did it, like they always do. Please don't. Someone else is posting, not mine. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.